Hello everybody, it's Craig with Yard to Table Creations. We're out here today on this balmy January day talking about different ways to trellis your garden and go vertical. Oftentimes people are working with small garden spaces, so we want to get the most out of it. Behind me here is a trellis that I like to use. Part of the reason why I like this type of trellis is a couple reasons. I can use almost anything to build it. Scrap wood, anything you have laying around, twigs, branches. You've recently pruned your stone fruit trees and you have a bunch of sticks laying around, you can make something out of this. Here we've used some netting just to add some support for the peas that are growing here. You can use anything. I oftentimes like to use hemp string. The reason why I like to use hemp string is that when it's time to take the trellis down, it can go into the green waste bin with all of the plant material. Otherwise, you can use whatever you have on hand. Netting like this, a roll of your kid's string that's hanging around the house, anything will work. This is really good for lighter plants. We wouldn't want to go with tomatoes and squash and melons on these kinds of trellises, but these are really good for things like peas and pole beans. I've also used these kinds of trellises just to help trellis up some smaller varieties of peppers that are getting out of control. Almost anything that's not too heavy. Again, one of the things that's nice about this is you can build it to size to whatever you need. You can make it long and tall, you can make them wide and low. But it's one of the best ways just to use up the inevitable scraps and pieces that we have laying around the garden. Okay, just a couple of notes on when you're planting on a trellis. We don't want any of our plants here. You can see these sweet peas. We want these plants to be able to reach out and grab this trellis as soon as possible. Oftentimes the mistake I'll see with a trellis is that the first level of the trellis is a little bit too high and we're expecting the plant to reach all the way up. So we want to make sure that this trellis material goes all the way down to where the plants can reach them as a start. And then we want to plant them directly underneath the trellis. We don't want to plant them out here in front of the trellis and have the plant have to grow back before it grows up. The sooner it can get a hold of the support it's going to be growing on, the faster it's going to grow and the more secure the plant is going to feel on that trellis. All right, just a couple of things to keep in mind about these kinds of trellises. Oftentimes when you're using recycled materials, things laying around, really thin material like this, understand that you don't want to spend a bunch of money on it because it's probably more like a one-time use. If you don't want to use things just one time and you want to make something a little bit more permanent, we'll get into those in a little bit later videos. But something like this, you have to realize is not going to hold up for very long. If you get a season out of it, especially when you have vines growing on the whole thing and you're pulling those vines off, these are held in with staples and thin string, it's not going to hold up. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but if you're looking for something sturdier, we'll take a look at some of those in a bit. If you need help with anything else, trellis-wise, any ideas, looking for some inspiration on what to do in your garden and how to go vertical, reach out to us at yardtotablecreations.com. I'm Craig. You have a great day.